All right, we are recording a little after 3:30 on Sunday afternoon. We told Van Lathan to come join us and talk draft between the two sets of games, but the Lakers game was so awesome against Minnesota. Minnesota goes up 3-1 that we're just going to do this now out of sequence. Russillo, your guy, Anthony Edwards, 43 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 44 minutes, a key cut in the last 15 seconds of the game during a broken play, and they end up beating the Lakers 3-1. There was a lot of high-end offensive chess going on there with Edwards. I was really impressed. They're doubling him. They're not doubling him. They're doubling him again, and he was just kind of figuring it out. I thought that was the best game I've seen him play.
I loved it. I think he's just turning into a star in a way I think we thought we were seeing it last year, so maybe we're just doing the same thing all over again just a year later. Just love to see him get to the free throw line after 26 field goal attempts in game 3 and 0 free throw attempts, which is fucking impossible. But they found a way to do it. So look, I think it was all about the size part of it, even though the Lakers' 5 guys they play are big players. It's not like they're small. Where you're absolutely right. Like I'm still like adrenaline rush after this game because of the chess part of it. Is JJ going to survive playing these 5 guys, his best 5 guys? Is he going to survive playing them the entire second half? And like Luka allows LeBron to coast a bit. LeBron was great tonight. Reeves had a great second half. Rui hit every shot that he had to hit because people were helping off of him. But in the beginning of the fourth quarter, and you're watching going, it looks like he can drive on these dudes. I was upset Finch called the timeout to save it before the 3-minute mark. I'm like, why are you calling a timeout to even give these guys any kind of break? Because I think that's what JJ was hoping. Will there be stoppages? Can I get some energy back in these dudes? And look, it comes down to a make or miss either way. And LeBron made some great defensive plays there. But
wait, don't step on all the points. We got a lot of points here.
No, I know. I love this.
Can we go back to the 5 guys though? JJ rolling the dice.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. I'm too excited, so take over.
No, JJ did the same thing the Nuggets did yesterday. They're like, our bench sucks.
And we're playing again. We have the extra day off.
Extra day. Can we win this game in the first 42 minutes and maybe stagger the minutes so that the last 6 minutes don't matter? And they go for the kill the same way the Nuggets did. And yet the Timberwolves hung around. I thought LeBron looked exhausted, and yet he made like 3 of the better defensive plays of the playoffs. Van, when you watch, I know you're a Laker fan, we should mention.
Yeah.
So you're watching this, and they're just not. JJ's like, fuck it. No bench. LeBron, just run in the corner during some offensive possessions. Maybe you can grab 20 seconds there. Maybe there'll be a challenge. Are you like, why aren't you playing the bench? Or are you like, this is the right move?
It felt like this was it was the right move. To be honest with you, I never get mad at coaches when they tighten up rotations in the playoffs. Everything is so high leverage. You go with the guys that got you there. You trust the guys that got you there.
That was a tight rotation.
That's a super tight rotation. Like a super tight rotation.
Tighter than tight.
No rotation.
It wasn't rotating.
There's no rotation.
No rotating.
No rotation at all. So I never get on coaches when they do that, particularly JJ, who is really in an interesting situation as a coach, right? He gets a team that has the bones of a decent team. Then he gets Luka. The expectations ratchet through the roof. Now he's in the playoffs against an opponent that everybody expects him to beat, and they are not beating them, and they are getting outplayed, out-hustled, and to be honest with you, kind of out-coached as well. So the fact that he decided that he was going to kind of go with the guys that he could trust the most didn't really surprise me. I am really, really impressed with Anthony Edwards, though. Like, ridiculously impressed with his ability to figure the game out on the fly and really be like a dominating figure for the Timberwolves to rally behind.
Yeah, you're watching this. You're going, if they can just stay within like 5 to 7 with 5 minutes left, they have the younger team and the better legs, and they have Ant, who's going to be the least tired out of all of these guys. I thought what LeBron did coming off Friday night, Russillo, I think you and I saw it the same way. That Friday night game was super physical, grueling, and it almost seemed unfair they had to play like 40 hours later. It just seemed like a bad schedule spot for them.
Yeah, not even.
I thought JJ was going to go the other way and be like, I got to play the bench guys more because my guys are going to be dead from Friday night. It was the opposite. And LeBron, especially the first 3 quarters, I don't really understand what I'm seeing anymore at age 40 for him on defense. This is like, he looks like 2013 Miami Heat LeBron in some of these moments. But they had those two guys humming in the first half, and they're still, what was it, like a 3-point game at halftime? I just don't think they have enough. And at the same time, I would not bet against them coming back from 3-1. Are you in the, I think this is too tall of a task for Lakers zone, or do you think there's a path for them?
Well, like after the first game, you're thinking, okay, that was really ugly. Like seeing it happen, you go, oh my God, like they're too big for them. Like this is actually like a real problem. And then you're like, yeah, but Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniel scored 48 points and nobody missed any shots. It felt for like a half an hour of real time. And then you have the Luka game in game 2 where like, all right, and now Jaden wasn't very good. So this makes a lot of sense. I mean, Jaden wasn't really much tonight. Naz didn't make any shots. So it's not like they get the full complement game. Luka, it's just so hard to doubt him. But, look, he had the stuff where he kept getting stuck in the trap, and I don't know why he would keep doing it other than there was a lot of times it worked. Like it would work out of the trap, and LeBron would end up with the ball, then he would make the perfect read and then swing it. And just Rui was so huge in that third quarter. But I do think there's just more moves for Finch where JJ basically admitted tonight, like unless Luka is making insane shots or he and LeBron are taking turns, I just don't know that they can hang with this team, because the same thing happened on Friday where when it mattered, it felt like Minnesota had a few more things they felt good about, even though the number 1 score to number 2 is a big drop off. And, look, Randall's had a bit of a rebirth here, which is one of the biggest reasons why I think they were motivated to do that cat trade. As bad as it looked for so much of the season, it was just, there's going to be so much pressure on Ant in the playoffs. The secondary option needs to be able to create some stuff on his own with the ball. And I think that was, even though, Randall's not exactly like everybody was going, oh my God, they got Randall. I think that was part of the basketball approach to having him there. And you're seeing it.
My favorite Randall stretch I've seen, Van, probably ever in his career from a two-way standpoint. Yeah. I'd given up. This would be a good website, or like where you just track where it's like, have you given up yet, or you're still holding on? I would have just checked the I've given up box on Randall. I love the way he played it. He also seems physically like just not afraid of Luka or LeBron. And I think that's one of the problems for the Lakers in this series is Minnesota has kind of this same kind of size, like just bodies to bang with them, at least make it hard for them. But were you ever out on Randall? Where'd you stand?
I felt like he had kind of outlived his NBA usage, his usefulness at like a high level.
Playoff
I didn't
level.
know that we would ever see him being a difference or a difference maker in a playoff series again. It just seemed like it was petering out. And when you look at it, the trade looks now like a trade that worked out for each team. You see Cat and the Knicks have a big win, and he's playing really well. And Randall has really found a way to fit in with the Timberwolves in a way that I did not think that he would be able to. I thought that he was going to stop the ball. I thought he was going to clog things for Ant. I thought he was going to be someone that Ant would get frustrated with. And you did see that at times this year. But once they kind of figured it out, and once the pace of the game slowed down a little bit in the playoffs, you kind of seeing his usefulness. He really is. He's an athletic guy who can guard a lot of different guys.
Yeah.
He's decent in an ISO. You can't leave him open. He'll make the shot every now and again. So, and he's tough. Like, to Russillo's point, they are a tough team, and the Lakers are kind of soft. They're a little Hollywood getting pushed around by these guys. It's depressing to see. Yeah.
Wow. The culture thing,
I never thought Randall would learn how to not be a ball stopper. I'm still not convinced. Are we sure? Russillo, are we sure that this is a new chapter of Randall, or is this just a phase?
No, but I think what you're looking at here is, I don't know, did they promise Jackson Hayes that he gets to start? Is there some sort of bonus in his contract for playoff starts?
Like Little League coach's son gets to play short for an inning?
And I'm not arguing with it. Like if you're a Lakers dude and you've got a pod or whatever, who's ever's on TV, or, like, hey, they got to stick with Jackson Hayes longer. No, they don't. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I think JJ knows what he's doing on this one. But yet they keep rolling him out there to kind of start this whole thing. So really what it comes down to is, like, Randall's not afraid to take it to LeBron. That was one of the most glaring things in game one live.
Yeah.
And I went, man, like, Randall doesn't give a shit. He's almost excited. He's almost too excited, because then he'll barrel into him and then LeBron will get a call. So Randall just feels really comfortable because Ant is being any of the possessions that matter. Ant is doubled, okay? And sometimes Minnesota, like there's all sorts of things that I love that the Lakers did that I don't like. Like I thought DiVincenzo was a mess tonight. Rudy, they felt bad that he didn't take any shots, I guess, in game 3. So they run the first fucking play for him. And guess what? He can't hang onto the basketball. I would challenge anyone. There's no one that plays regular minutes that is worse with the basketball in his hands. Like a jugs machine. If a jugs machine was hanging out with Rudy, the draft gurus would give that jugs machine a 5th round grade and be like, it's not accurate enough. And you'd be like, that doesn't make sense. Usually jugs machines are pretty accurate. And be like, they didn't complete a pass all day. And so they still don't know what to do with the Rudy part of this. The elbow in the back of the head, LeBron was just like totally stupid in that moment. But damn, I think Randall just sees the space because you've got to still at least show to Nas. You have to show to Nah. You have to show on Conley, even though he doesn't really want to shoot. And then Jaden. And so I think when there's like 2 guys and one retreating off of Ant, I think Randall is just salivating at some of this stuff. And that's why, yeah, I think he's still a ball stopper. But here I don't think there's as much of a penalty for it.
But he's just been, over the course of his career, he's just been so bad in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He's been so bad in the playoffs where teams have been able to force him to his weak side, completely neutralize his scoring. You just did not expect for him to contribute in any meaningful way when the stakes got to their highest. And, of course, he would do it now that he's skull fucking the Lakers. And I have to watch it.
Well, look, I mean, you must have had flashbacks on that foul against Luka because that could have been the game. I mean, you held up, you played defense. There's 4 left on the shot clock, and you fouled him. And he was, you know, to his credit, he was upset with himself, not the call. But then I'm thinking of you, Van, going, you must have turned to somebody and be like, "This is why we got rid of that dude." You know, because the numbers have always been like, look at this. Go to Basketball Reference. You're like, how do you not like this guy? And you're just like, look, there's just a lot of in between stuff that you've never really liked. So, you know,
one other thing, like Reeves had a bad first half, right? But he has a bad first half. You don't notice. There's guys that can be bad and you don't really notice for like an hour. When Randall's bad, you just see it. You see it on his face. His body language is bad. You're just constantly aware. It's like this black cloud just goes over his head.
You want to know why? That's such a good point, though. It's because he doesn't stop being bad when it's over. He's like, I got this. And you're like, dude, you don't. You don't tonight.
And he'll fuck up 3 times in a row and then dribble the ball out beyond the 3-point line, call a defender out, and just like he's gonna get in his bag. And I'm like, you watching it, you're like, Randall, you still in your bag, huh? Get out your bag for a second. But he'll do it anyway. But it's working. Look, you know what? You know what I was thinking as I was watching this game? I was thinking in years past, this would have been exactly what the NBA wanted. They want Ant in a series with LeBron where young dude beats old guy and becomes heir apparent to the face of the league or whatever it is. They want this. I'm wondering if they want it right now. I don't think that they do. Like, you know, this is probably with the Lakers and the Luka thing and everything. I think they probably want the deepest run for the Lakers that they could possibly get. But, I mean, really, all NBA fans should want the coronation of Anthony Edwards, and they should want it for him to take it from LeBron James in the way that the Timberwolves are taking it from the Lakers right now.
Well, the bummer is I like watching both of these teams, and I feel the same about Nuggets Clippers. I just enjoy all 4 of those teams, and we're going to lose 2, and yet we're going to probably keep a couple teams I don't enjoy as much as we head into round 2. The thing with
I can't believe these are first round. I mean, even if Golden State had Butler,
so
like the fact that these are these 6 teams going at it in the first round, we're spoiled.
Well, I was watching today wondering, because Golden State, I don't want to jinx it, but I think winning that game, stealing that game last night without Butler was such a good sign for them. And I'm sure they're watching a game like today. They have a couple of days off, and they're in that, all right, if we can somehow get by Houston, who would we rather play? And after that game, I don't even know what I would tell them because, the Lakers don't have a bench.
No, it's definitely the Lakers.
You think?
Because they know there's no big version of it.
Because they could just go small ball against them the whole time?
Right. Maybe I'm too influenced by the last time I saw them play each other where the Lakers Sunday wanted to be small and Golden State was like, awesome. You know, like whatever happened in game 3, I don't know that I feel like I've seen too many minutes where they're just getting beat on by bigger guys. They still may win the game, but I don't know if they're having a blast while they're doing it. So I would think they would be afraid of what Minnesota may be capable of.
Yeah, the ceiling of Minnesota's higher, but you watch those two guys going at the same time today. Like, I think Minnesota has a better team. I wouldn't count the Lakers out in this series yet. Like, you figure they'll win game 5. Van, I looked already. I looked into the future. It's a 65-10 free throw advantage in game 5. That's the over under. But then game 6, who knows? It's like, that Lakers have had some guys who have been in some big games over the years. And then you have that fear of like, if we don't take care of this, now we got to go back to LA for a game 7. Minnesota, I think, has a better team though.
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the series, and I keep waiting for the Lakers to show that they have an edge over the Timberwolves, and that moment has not come. Even in game 2, where the Lakers get the win, it's one of those wins where you go, oh, we didn't figure very much out in that situation. Like the tail skip.
It was a weird ant game.
Yeah, like we didn't figure very much out. And it seems like when the Timberwolves need to make a play or when they need to batten down the hatches, that they have things that they can go to. They have easier ways to get stops and easier ways to get buckets than the Lakers do. And the Lakers seem like they're operating on a real high degree of difficulty with everything that they're trying to do. And it doesn't seem like over the long run they're going to be able to mount anything to tip the series back on their side. Yeah.
They have to double ant. They have to hope whoever their smallest guy isn't getting bullied by Rando or Nazaret or whatever. There's a lot of things they're hoping don't happen. The T-Wolves basically just seem like we just have to make sure Luka doesn't get easy looks. Seems to be a lot of their strategy, though. Russillo, this stat's interesting. Lakers shot 19 for 47 from 3 today. Usually if you're around 19, 20 made threes in the NBA, the way it is now, that's a win, right? Like 19 out of 20 times. So if I'm JJ, I'm like, fuck, we played our 5-out thing. We dumped Jackson Hayes finally. I tried to get away with no bench as much as possible. We made all our threes. I got a great game from Rui. I got a huge second half from Reeves, and we still lost. Now what do I do? And I wouldn't know what to tell him.
I don't
more
think
Gabe Vincent
here. No, I don't. I mean, Gabe Vincent flying around, sure, if you want.
A little more Goodwin? With more? Just a sprinkling of Goodwin?
Goodwin sprinkles?
Yeah. Goodwin flakes?
What exactly are Goodwin sprinkles? I think he's really competitive on defense, but he's not a very big player. And so I think he kind of got what he needed. He got the game from Reeves in the second half. He had Rui off of those traps, felt like he was doing everything right. They even got a couple threes, I think, from Finney-Smith. Yeah. They were spacing it out really well. LeBron fucking living at the free throw line, but they were fouling him. I mean, DiVincenzo, some of these fouls that this guy will do, it's like, hey, you're not going to stop him. Like LeBron was already rid of the basketball, and DiVincenzo follows suit. Maybe I'm just annoyed because he argues it so much. And then you go back to the replay. Like DiVincenzo's like a high school kid caught in the woods with a beer. You're like, the chances of this guy telling the truth right now is 0. Like, it doesn't matter what I ask him. He's just going to say, hey, dude, it wasn't me. So, I think there's always like these interesting 3-4 minute stretches where maybe somebody could hit some shots or you get some energy. I think the gamble that JJ had strictly was, can my guys hold up enough physically if I do this to them? Because I don't feel like I'm necessarily bearing some other great options. And I think in a way they still kind of survived it, even if I felt like off the dribble, like Ant, dude, he had a layup at 72-63, where even for him, he went through 4 guys. And I thought, my expectations of him are so high that he's going to find a way to stop, turn the corner, and get by. He's going to beat 2. He's going to split double teams. He's going to get the angle. He's going to beat you to the spot. He went through 4 dudes. So I thought it was actually going to be worse with how tired the Lakers guys were. So maybe being tired shows up on the inbound pass that LeBron loses in that spot, down 3, which is kind of lost in just the melee of all the events that happened to close out this game.
Ant never plays, he always plays fearless, but he does sometimes play passive. And for whatever reason, he's not passive now. Like you've seen him before the soft double comes out there and he kind of doesn't know what to do with it. You see games where he's too reliant on taking high degree of difficulty threes or high degree of difficulty long twos. You see that. None of that now. And also, he's playing mind games with LeBron James. He's getting into him physically. Like these guys are rallying behind him. It's a big deal series for Ant right now. For sure.
Well, that's my favorite thing, international basketball. Yet another person really helped by their experiences abroad.
Yeah, but he was doing this, like when he was going at Durant, being like, I'm whatever the fucking belt you think you had was, like, this is mine.
Better is over.
And what I appreciate is that he's qualified to do this because he's this special. And so him and LeBron going at it, and then, of course, he got called for the foul. But granted, he was on defense, but you could see that happening. It was really fun. And then they show the replay over and over again. I think we all enjoy that stuff. Like that for me is one of my favorite things about this. And it's not even being disrespectful, I don't think, to LeBron. It's that Ant, I think collectively the NBA fans would say, well, he can do it.
Right.
You know, when Jalen Green is doing shit to guys that won 4 rings last night, I'm like,
settle down. Wait, you made that key point in the beginning, Russillo, about how he did this last year too, but something feels different. And I think this is what it is. When he made his playoff run last year and had those 10, 11 games, we were like, shit, those look like Michael Jordan stats. What's going on here? The other teams weren't treating him yet like he's being treated this year. It was just happening in real time where you're going, man, this guy's kind of amazing. Like and then finally we get to the Dallas series and they're like, all right, this is over. We're now treating him like he's a guy. This playoffs, he's been treated in the Lakers series like he is at that level. And I think that's, to me, is the difference, is understanding I am now here. I'm going to be treated this way. And the way that he feels like he's on the same level as Luka and 40-year-old LeBron, I feel like they're all peers. We wouldn't have said that last year. I didn't feel like he was like Jokic's peer last year. He was just having an awesome series. You know what I mean? This year, I feel like he's peers with those guys.
It ended kind of with a whimper, which kind of like, makes you forget about it a little bit. But I mean, at this point, if you're a Lakers fan or if you're the Lakers organization, we're going to have to go to some desperate measures to get him out of here, to get him off of his game. We're probably going to have to Shannon Sharp him, send somebody into the DMs, get him off of his game.
Never heard that verb before. I'm scared.
Would history prove that doesn't get off his game?
Well, maybe, but it's our only shot now. Okay, we're gonna, because he's not gonna stop. So we're probably gonna have to send somebody to him, get somebody, distract him in some kind of way. It's Los Angeles. There's a lot of people that we can send waves and waves.
People
might not
courtside.
be deep. We might tighten the rotation on the court. But as far as the rotation in Los Angeles of ladies, we can send right to them DMs to get Ant's mind off of the game. We deep.
Maybe, but I mean, he is prepared for the double team. We saw that in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Double, triple
Maybe a
team.
different type of double team we'll throw at him this time. We'll see. It's the only thing we can do.
Can I read you the weirdest stat of this game? Luka Doncic, 38 points, 45 minutes, 1 rebound, 2 assists.
That's a low number, Bill.
It's a Cam Thomas game. What is happening? And LeBron puts up 12 rebounds, 8 assists.
My God.
Whatever this version of LeBron is just, I talked about it a few days ago. It's this new version he's just created now where he's like a hybrid of 9 different versions of him from the past. The stuff he's doing on defense, he's just stripping dudes. He's protecting the rim. He's moving his feet on defense and blocking, passing. He hasn't played defense like this, I don't think, since 2020, personally. Am I wrong, Russillo?
Well, there was a stretch at the beginning of the season. I was like, okay, this is like bad.
We were saying he was a DH.
Yeah, there was a Denver regular season game where they had him. He was the low man, and they just were like, we're going to run this thing, and the off-ball guy's going to dive down, and LeBron's just not even going to bother coming over. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you can't possibly. Or the fake switch out of the closer, like after he was supposed to go to contest at the corner.
One of those.
He'd like do a thing where he'd go box out a guy that was next to him and then be pointing. It's like, dude, there's no possible way you thought that I was going to go over there and contest. Then he came back, and I remember there was a Memphis game where I was like, holy shit. Like what? Like LeBron is completely engaged. It's great. So yeah, this is I think a lot of the really great plays tonight were right at him. You know, the DiVincenzo drive where they come out of a timeout and you're like, DiVincenzo 1-on-1 against LeBron. The problem is DiVincenzo's trying that fucking shot. Like that guy's never had anybody 1-on-1 thinking he's not going to make it.
The falling away from the basket, lefty floater layup right at a guy.
It was a high degree of difficulty. I'll give him that. And then DiVincenzo on the strip play that got overturned. And credit to LeBron and the Lakers staff because LeBron and the assistant looked at each other and they were basically like, yeah, you fouled him. Like, this is going to get overturned.
Yeah.
DiVincenzo gave Ant a grenade. Like, did you see what they did there? Like, DiVincenzo ended up getting free. And at that point, that might have been the first time I've ever seen that guy without the confidence to go, it's double D time.
Right.
Because he gave it back to Ant.
Ant did a crazy, I just want to be involved in this play so badly. I'm going to do a delayed cut behind you like a trailer.
Yeah, right.
Just hoping.
Yeah.
It was almost like a wide receiver hoping for a lateral.
It was like a lateral.
Yeah. And he flipped it back to him.
You're right about game 5. No, I need to jump in here because I need to ask Conspiracy Bill a question.
Oh, yeah.
Because the first thing I thought of when I was like 3-1, I was like, this.
Well, we're both going to be there. Yeah, I know you go to every Laker game now. You're the new Diane Cannon. I'm going to go on Tuesday because I love basketball. Russillo's there. Is it since they got Luka? Russillo's he's there. He's like wearing a Slovenian baseball jacket. He's all in.
It's funny because I've made it to the cool halftime lounge, and then one night I wasn't invited with the high end people. I was just a commoner, and I hit up somebody who was like, "Hey, can I go?" Can I just make sure I get that because somebody wanted to say hi? And they were like, are you out of your fucking mind? You're just asking for a bracelet to the cool halftime thing? Like, you have to be invited, sir.
Hey,
I was like,
you're like Taylor Sheridan's in there. He wants to talk about 1944.
Russillo, but that, I beat 1944. Russillo, that's a positive, though. Like,
what's that?
you know, so you know where you stand. And let me tell you what I mean. I have a theory, right? Because they have all these private members clubs in LA.
Yeah.
The question is, who's famous enough just to show up at the Soho House and not being a member and just get let up? Like, Will Smith is probably not a member of the Soho House, right? But if he shows up there and goes, hey,
Soho
I want
House
to
is
check
a
it
bad
out.
example, I think. I think anyone can get in the Soho House.
Whatever.
I think I did
Sunday
once.
Bungalows, whatever. Like, you go there, they're going to let you right up, right?
Like Kevin Hart just walks in. They're like, hey, it's
Just
Kevin Hart.
walks
Come
in.
on in. Yeah.
Going to let you right up. Now you know that you're not quite there yet as far as all privileges, Ryen Russillo, face card, it's me, let me up. But that just makes that's drive
Getting
to get
close,
there.
though. Yeah, you're right there.
You're right there.
You're like
Ryan.
Ant in the Lakers series right now. You're one win away.
And if they see you in the lounge a couple of more times, you're hanging out with Taylor Sheridan, it's you, it's Jessica Alba. It's
By the way,
whole deal.
Kings game, I think you're in. I think you go to any Kings Oilers game, they're just like, boom.
Yeah,
Russillo,
Kopitar's
let him in.
brother. He let me in once. He's a huge fan of the pod.
You'll know
so
somebody
shout out.
from the Bay. It was just the way it happens. Van, I have a question.
This is all really good. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. Van, is the league ready for Anthony Edwards to be the face of the league?
Hell no. No. No, not at all.
Is there any reason?
No. Like he's too real for TV.
Have they had you think they've had meetings about this? Been like,
They
what
might have
happens if
tried.
this happens?
Yeah, they might have tried. He's probably my favorite basketball player since Kobe. I'm telling you, I love him. I love the realness.
I really do too. I fucking
love the
him.
fact, like I love the fact that even the shit that happens off of the court, which some of it is really fucked up and stupid and like just really stupid, but even that he just doesn't let it bother him. Even when he kind of looks like an asshole or something, he just doesn't let it bother him. He doesn't let it bother him. And there's something to be said for someone who is not hung up on every single opinion that people have about him on social media. He's a hooper and a dude. I would say something else, but I'm in mixed company. But it just
I think you could say it.
No. Just a
sitting it
hooper
out.
and a dude. And so I dig that. You know, it hurts watching him do it to the Lakers, but I like him. But no, they are not ready for Anthony Edwards to be the guy that they're building their league around. They're not ready yet.
Well, I think he's ready. Because you go through that. Think about this gauntlet, Russillo. If he can finish off the Lakers, he's finishing off LeBron and Luka, who are now on the same team. Then you would go next round, Steph, Draymond, Warriors. And that's before you even get to the third
Thompson,
round.
Van Vliet.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if it's the Warriors, you'd be going through two of the league's icons back to back before you even got to the 68-win OKC team that just swept Memphis and is now 72-14 on the season. It's a gauntlet.
Yeah, but I mean, look,
and then the Celtics are somebody else waiting.
He went Durant, Jokic last year.
Right.
Yeah.
But these are we're now in the icon territory, though. Especially,
Sure, but it's been not a year, and I still can't believe they beat Denver in Denver Game 7 the way they did.
I can't either.
Believe that. That to me is still one of like the most unlikely. I think all this stuff's accurate. I have no pushback or further commentary, but I still have to ask Conspiracy Bill this question.
Yeah.
Because during Game 2, when you were like, the Lakers are going to be called for 1 million fouls, they're going to even the series. And I think I pushed back on some of that stuff with you. And then when I was watching the game, it's like, Bill was right. Bill was right. But the thing,
everybody had 4 fouls in like the 5-minute mark of the third quarter.
Right, but more free throw attempts for Minnesota. So you'd have to think that people would love for this series to be 2-2. They had a chance to just not overturn that call. Is it too obvious? With the Skyhawk cam from above, they couldn't do it.
I'm surprised. How did they not cut the feed of the Sky cam? They're like, it's not working. They're like, Sky cam, no, it's out. Nope. I will say this would be a very tough game for Minnesota on Wednesday, because also the LA, like, the crowd's good, and the crowd does affect the refs a little bit, you know. And you have LeBron and Luka, who are the two of the better ref workers, you know, as the game goes on, and you combine that with the fans.
That's so
down.
funny that you think that. I think Luka's terrible at it. I think
he's annoying though. Is he bad or good at it? He's just so annoying about it.
And like to have to watch like Luka, to be a Lakers fan and have Luka come here. The one thing I hate is bitching. More than anything, I hate bitching, which is crazy because I'm one of the world's leading bitchers. But I hate it when other people do it, right?
Tremendous self-awareness, though, Van.
Yeah, I like it.
It is what it is. But I hate it when other people do it. So I don't think that Luka works the rest very well. I do think the Lakers will win, and then I think they will be smacked in Game 6. I don't think Game 6 will be very close.
Well, I'll tell you,
you want to give me a guess the line, Bill? You want to guess the line?
Oh, I haven't looked yet. I would say Lakers by 2.5 for Game 5.
Minus 2.5?
Minus 2.5 Lakers.
It's minus 5.5. It's the same line as Game 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So they're with you. Like, it feels.
But that's
like,
3 days from now, right? It's Wednesday night.
I know, but I just felt like with the matchup, if you could get 5.5 with Minnesota, you had to do it. But then history has also told us that the Game 1 home loser wins Game 2. I think leading up to last time I said it, the team that lost home Game 1 was 19-4 in Game 2s and won 15-19 by double digits. I don't know what the Game 5 down 3-1 history is for a team.
What do you think the series line is? Did you look? Because I just looked.
I didn't.
T-Wolves are minus 500. Lakers are plus 385.
Ooh.
Wow. You sound like you have way more Lakers hope in you than I imagine.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's hope. I just think when you have two guys that can put up points like that, I think it's different. Like if Orlando, we're taping this as a Celtics game, is that like if Orlando goes down 3-1, like they can't score. They have real issues. Like it'd be really hard to put together 3 wins. I think it's a little similar to what had to happen for them in 2016 when they had LeBron and Kyrie. They fell down 3-1. The league did the ridiculous technical on Draymond that ends up getting him suspended, which is still the worst thing, the worst league decision of this century. But then those guys just went off the next 2 games. Remember LeBron and Kyrie? And that would be my fear if I'm Minnesota. Like, how do we make sure those guys don't combine for 80 points? And LeBron, I guess, is just not going to get tired at all during this playoffs. It's you can't count on like, oh, he's old. This would be an old legs game for him. He's just not having them. So, let's take a quick break and then we'll talk about the draft. This episode is brought to you by Michelob Ultra. Spring is here. My favorite time of the year. That means the NBA playoffs are here too. What am I the most excited about? I'm excited to see if the Celtics can defend their title. I'm excited to see if Steph Curry and Jokic can keep going and going and going round after round. I'm excited for the potential of an LA versus LA playoff series. It's never happened. Clippers, Lakers, never in my lifetime. Is OKC for real? Is Cleveland for real? Is SGA going to prove that he is the best scoring guard in the postseason, basically, since Michael Jordan, since Kobe Bryant? Is he on that level? We're all going to find out. There's plenty to look forward to on and off the court, like Michelob Ultra courtside. That's another thing. It's getting fans closer to the game with unique prizes. Plus, they're giving you a chance to win tickets to the NBA Finals. You heard me. The NBA Finals, which I hope are in Boston. Just head to MichelobUltra.com/NBA Finals. Michelob Ultra courtside NBA Finals sweepstakes. No purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents, excluding Maryland residents 21 and up. Begins 9 a.m. ET on February 16, 2025. Ends on May 5th, 2025. See official rules at MichelobUltra.com/rules for price and details. Message and data rate may apply. Void where prohibited. The draft. Russillo was just in his house yesterday with the McShay crew, breaking it down for 2 hours. Sanders dropping all the way down to the Browns hijacked the draft in a lot of ways. It hijacked my text with Van Lathan.
Yeah, for sure.
It ended up in a really, really weird, goofy place where Cleveland passes on him. It felt like 20 times, and then finally took him. And they cut to the war room, and nobody in the war room seemed like remotely excited about it. So it almost made you wonder if it was an owner decision. But instead of talking about how could this have happened, blah, 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 like there's a bigger picture question of when this happens, why does it happen? So you have some thoughts, Van.
You mean the Shedeur Sanders situation? Yeah.
When somebody drops like this and it's all for there's the sports talk reasons for it, and then there's the actual reasons. So let's have the conversation.
So I had a guy, a very high up football guy, hit me. And when he heard me on your pod the last time after day one, and it was interesting the way he put it. I'm going to read this. He goes, on Shedeur, he's never been graded that high by the scouts, which is something that I don't think a lot of people are paying that much attention to. When you hear about Shedeur Sanders, you hear about media assessments. He goes, he was a creation of the media, but mostly a creation of the machine built in Boulder. Then you have to ask yourself with the organization, do you want to deal with his father criticizing your staff every week from his CU press conference? If you're backup, and if he's the backup and your starter has a bad week, do you want to have to respond to what's being said 1,000 miles away? It's a lot of baggage that's surrounding an average player. So I think people are trying to make it either or. They're trying to make it a completely cultural thing or a completely football thing, when really what I'm hearing from people that are involved in the NFL, that it's a combination of the two. That if Shedeur Sanders were more of a can't-miss prospect, then you probably wouldn't be having a lot of the conversations around him that you're having. But if he's just average or just good, I mean, not transcendent, just average or just good, then the things that come along with it, and we can't act like that there's not going to be more scrutiny with drafting him. There just is. Fair enough.
Hullabaloo.
Hullabaloo. And a lot of people, it scared them off. And so, look, I think there are a lot of people that are going to take what happened with Shedeur and they're going to use it for their own interests, whatever agenda that they have. I think that Shedeur Sanders is a much better quarterback than a fifth-round quarterback. But also, I'm not an NFL scout. I'm a guy that watched him in college. And I'm starting to realize that a lot of these guys don't care about that. They really don't care about your college tape. The assessment that they do of you it's partly because of what you did in college, but then it's really the measurables and the stuff that they get and all different types of things that they're watching beyond that. So I don't know. We're going to have a lot of conversations about this, but I think there's a lot of stuff going on.
That's my guy, Will Campbell, who you told me dominated everybody for the entire time he was at LSU, and then did the measurements, and his arms were an inch short. So then it's like, I don't know, he might be a guard. But you told me nobody got by him ever at LSU.
He was the best pass blocker I've seen at LSU in years, maybe ever, in terms of just a guy that just, I mean, we didn't run the ball that well. I mean, we had some problems in the interior line and all of that stuff, but Will went up against the most athletic, determined, pass rushers in the country when you talk about SEC pass rushers, and they just simply couldn't get around him, couldn't get to his quarterback. But when it came out, they looked at the measurables and they were like, "Oh my God, maybe we have to move this guy around." So
well, it's like when Russillo and I talk, we love the NBA draft stuff. We did the redraftables, and it's so fun to see like how teams miss on guys, right? Like Brunson was somebody we all liked in college, and then he goes through the process, and it's like, he's too short. What is he? Is he a 2 guard? And then he falls to like 32, and it seems stupid. With Sanders, he's clearly not a 5th round pick. But I do understand, like, here's an example, like Jacksonville, right? Jacksonville's not very good. They took Hunter already, who he played with. They have Lawrence, who we're not positive Lawrence is ever going to make it as like a real guy who's going to win playoff games. And we get to the 4th round with Jacksonville, and it's like, this seems like a logical candidate to be like, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to take Shedeur Sanders. Let's say, and we'll have, but here's why can't you do that for Jacksonville? Because the moment you do that, everybody's like, oh man, could he take Lawrence's job? And then the moment Lawrence has 3 picks in week 2, then it becomes, should Shedeur play? Should he get a shot? And Russillo, I think there's like 20 teams that are just like, we don't want to deal with this. We don't want to deal with all the should he play, should he not play. We'd rather just take this other guy.
And unless you're a first rounder who you feel like needs a little seasoning, for the most part, NFL coaching staffs want backup quarterbacks to be seen and not heard. And this has never been a sport that wants free thinkers. Like the early Belichick stuff was great because he just immediately had Brady brainwashed, and then everybody kind of followed the lead, and then Bruschi was like totally into it, and it was just like you didn't come to Foxborough to be a free thinker or ask why. It's like, this is what we're going to do, and go ahead and execute it. So
it's like the Army.
The Shedeur tape. I'll tell you what, this is a lesson in just the group think when it comes to mock drafts. Like I'd gotten a speech years and years ago from an NBA GM, just going, the drafts would be so different, and he was obviously an NBA GM, because the draft would be so different if there were no mocks. He's like, but eventually you start like letting the mock break your own tie, because you're like, well, if I do this, and I get it wrong, everybody's gonna think I'm stupid. But if I take this guy, like, it is kind of crazy too. Like you'll see somebody who's projected to go 13th in the 1st round of the NFL or NBA, and then if he goes 8th, it's like, holy shit, are those guys dumb? You know? And it's just, I mean, especially the NFL side of it. It's like, I don't know, like it's that big of a reach because I took a guy 6 spots higher than all the stuff that you keep reading over and over again. Where the other thing that happens with all these mocks is everybody kind of ends up just looking at everybody else's and goes, I don't want to seem like a complete wild card with all this. However, having said that, I've never seen anything like this. Right. Belichick
was the only one who's like, I like Cole Strange, but he didn't look at a single mock. I just like him.
We're not going to talk about that.
Right.
I think this is the most dramatic thing that I've ever seen from this. But after the combine, 2 teams that have high picks that you could argue could have been in on a quarterback met with Shedeur. They were like, absolutely not. We've heard the Giants story with Brian Dable and him getting into it. So, look, if he was special, okay, if he truly was special, but the mocks had us believing he was special, the mocks had probably him believing he was special. His father had him believing he was special, which was really nice. His dad was there to support him the entire time. Great. It feels like he went into this thinking like, I don't have to say shit to you guys. And these guys looked at the film saying, your film is like average. And now you come in here with this entitlement. Like, it's just not going to work. Like, that's just not the way an NFL locker room they would never sign up for something for somebody that they think is fairly replaceable and may never even be. I mean, look, there's plenty of 1st rounders that are going to completely whiff. So I feel bad in the sense that he shouldn't have been a 5th rounder. So I could be really mean about this and say, hey, he brought it all on himself. I think it also proves that Deion has 0 relationships with decision makers in the NFL. No agent. Hey, we're doing it our way. It's going to be non-traditional. I don't know if the league decided to punish him for it. I think a lot of people just said, hey, I don't know that I want this. I don't know that I want this in my QB room if he's not really, really special. And I think everybody kind of agreed on that without it being collusion.
Yeah, I think Deion is beloved by the media, and rightly so. He's been a major star for the last 30 plus years. As far as the football culture, decision maker guys, I don't know if those relationships and sort of how he's revered, if that carries on there. I think that we're probably all seeing that now. I will say this though. I remember back when we was on a bus one time, and this girl had tried to holler at this guy. We was in high school, and he didn't like her. And then he went around to everybody in school being like, hey, man, Touch tried to holler at me. Touch tried to holler at me. Touch tried to holler at me. And after a while, we started asking him, like, why are you telling all of us that she tried to holler at you? Like, why is it getting around the whole school that you don't like her? The thing that I was struck by with Shedeur Sanders is the amount of negative experiences and highlighting every single negative thing that was wrong with him got to a fever pitch in a way that I don't remember seeing. And I think the question is like, why is that happening? Was that happening because Shedeur Sanders was such a notable and forward-facing athlete? Was that backlash from all of, you know, the rapping and the chains and all of that stuff? Was that a referendum on Dion? But it did turn negative in a way to where we're hearing, well, I looked up all of the old interviews, the interview stories that we've heard of. And typically when we hear an interview story from the draft, we've heard about bad interviews. But when we hear about bad interviews, we normally hear about bad questions from franchises. We hear about somebody asking you if you're gay, or somebody asking you about something with your mom, or somebody asking you that. We don't hear really about how a prospect with an interview as much as we've heard about this bad interview with the Giants. And I can't put my head around why that is. Either that's people saying that, okay, he's a 5th round talent or a 2nd or 3rd round talent, and he did terrible in this interview. And let us quell the outrage and explain why he's not being drafted. Or there was some kind of hate for the kid that in some way they didn't have for other prospects based upon something outside of his control, other than, you know, how he acts and carries himself.
Well,
so,
but you also have probably 10, 11 teams total are going to be in the pool to take him. And then individually, each team talked themselves out of him for whatever reason, the most surprising being Pittsburgh. But I do wonder, is a piece of this, you draft, like you have the coach as one of the people in the decision-making room, in every room, right? You know, if you draft him, I think it was one of the reports, I think Schefter said this, so he reported like there's a coach that would be worried that the moment you bring this guy in, it's going to be just nonstop. Dion's going to replace, he's going to be the next coach, he's going to coach his kid. And we know that coaches can sabotage this shit in subtle ways. But Russillo, the only bad interview, we've heard some bad interview stories with the NBA stuff. The only one I remember hearing was the LaMelo one when teams thought he tanked the interview because he wanted to go somewhere else. That, other than that, do you remember many interview stuff with NBA teams?
Yeah, I do. Like, I don't know, I'll just pick a name out of a hat because I go to the combine. Like, I'd heard Jake LaRavia wasn't the greatest hang in a meeting. All right. Went in the 1st round. Guess what? Nobody gives a shit about Jake LaRavia's sit down with the team because it's Jake LaRavia, right? It's Shedeur. And so I understand, Van, your point. Like, we talked about this at such a level that it felt uncommon. But I do think if you're on it every year, like I'll hear from McShay over the years, be like, hey, what happened to that guy? I'd be like, oh, he sucked. He sucked in his interview. He sucked on the whiteboard. Like, he was totally lost. I don't know that anybody ever cared enough for us to talk about it as much as we are with Shedeur, because, you know, it's, I don't know. Like, I want to ask you this question. I kind of want to ask you this question because I know that, like, we'll see what happens Monday on the TV shows and everything, but race became a topic with this thing.
certainly.
And I always feel like, all right, when I see the guys arguing that it isn't about race, a lot of times the guys have seen it doing it, I'm like, oh shit, I don't want to be like aligned with that guy. But if there's one field that I feel pretty comfortable talking about, it's sports, right? I think that NBA and NFL decision makers are probably the most forward thinking of like, hey, if you can play and you can help my team, like, this is how I'm going to evaluate you. So I'd ask, is there ever a chance that with Shedeur, it can be about Shedeur and not about a race?
So a lot of people say race and they mean culture, right?
Yeah, I mean, correct me where I need to be corrected.
No. I'm not talking about you. So a lot of people say race and they mean culture, right? It would be silly to look at the draft after a black quarterback went number 1 and went NFL owners are they don't want to draft black players, right? That's not the. But there is a thought that there is a specific type of black player or black man that is a specific affront to power structures. And that's someone who doesn't walk in and isn't artificially humble, who doesn't walk in and doesn't mute himself, is big in a room and is lighting up a room and knows that he has it. That there's a specific feeling from some people that that guy has to be broken down and cut down a peg, right? It's interesting. When I was watching Shedeur Sanders, I was thinking about Adrian Broner. And a lot of people aren't going to be able to make this connection. Oh. Adrian Broner is a legitimate 4-weight world champion, like a legitimate boxing achiever. However, in order for him to carry the type of bravado that he did with him, he would have had to have been perfect. If you're going to be Floyd, or if you're going to be Ali, or if you're going to be Deion Sanders, you can almost never lose. You have to be perfect. Because if you are not perfect and you have that type of confidence and that type of bravado and that type of oomph with you, then they will cut you down. And so when people are saying race, they're talking about black man. They're saying black man, but they're not really talking about black men. They're talking about one specific type of black man. And it's the type that they seem to always want to go at when they're trying to make an example of someone. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that that's what's happening with Shedeur Sanders, but there's an uncomfortability and a tension there because of what we've seen happen to athletes like this in the past. Now, if you got the goods, it don't matter, right? Because all of the guys I was just talking about, Deion, Ali, whomever you want to name, and right. If you got the goods, it don't matter. But it does kind of seem like sometimes they want you to, if you're black, they want you to be great. They want you to be amazing, but they don't want you to put it in their face. You know what I mean? But once again,
but how much of that has to do with the position he plays and what people seem to expect from the quarterback position when you're talking about leadership, charisma, calming force, guy who lifts up your teammates, and they're looking at him and it's like, if this guy's going to carry himself a certain way but doesn't have the talent to back it up, it's almost like counterproductive.
The second part is the entire part of it, right? Because, you know, I'm a huge LSU fan. Nobody had more swagger than my vanilla champion, Joe Burrow. Nobody had more swagger. We smoking cigars. Yeah. We flipping the ball. We boom, 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 the whole thing.
By the way, saw him at the Lakers game in person.
Beautiful.
Stunning.
But we also threw 60 touchdowns, right? We threw 60 touchdowns. We won the Heisman. Yeah. We got to the league. I know. I've never met the dude. He took a team to the Super Bowl. I like
we. I'm pro
right.
we.
So that's the whole deal. So there's two parts of it. The first part of it, I think a lot of people, the conversation is this. Is he good enough to comport himself in the way that he does? That's the first question. The second question is, does he have to be? Can't he just be confident about himself? Can't he just be happy to be Shedeur Sanders? Can't he just be, he ain't never been in no trouble. Does he have to be as excellent as people would want him to be in order to be as big as he wants to be?
You know what it reminds me of a little bit? I'm going to do something really dangerous. I'm going to use a cross-racial comparison.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm a veteran.
Here we go.
You're not going to say Marshall Henderson, are you?
Oh, shit. Ole Miss? See?
I wasn't going to do that.
That's what I'm talking about. Do you know this? Do you know that guy?
Personally?
No, I'm talking about Bill. Do you know who he's talking about?
I know the name. I don't know that. I don't get the Bill, reference.
That was my favorite white for many years. Like, bro, for Ole Miss had a for Ole Miss had like a checkered story, had been to a JUCO or whatever, or been to a different school. Just used to come to Ole Miss, would shoot 39%, but score like 35 and flip off everybody in the crowd. I loved that guy. I can't believe you just pulled that name.
I was gonna say Adam Morrison, and here's why.
Okay.
Because he had that really fun college season that everybody enjoyed. Then he flamed out in the tournament and he cried on the court, and it became a thing. And then he became one of the most polarizing prospects in a while. And some people were like, that guy's not athletic enough to be a starting small forward in the NBA and be able to score. And other people are like, you got to look at his history, look at the college, look at all the stuff, the big game and all the carrying a team, all the same stuff. And then Charlotte ended up taking him third. Like they bought into it and he was a bust. But it's the same kind of thing where the fans are seeing one thing because they're like, no. He did this. And I watched this game in Gonzaga where he had 38, which is a little like watching Colorado on a Saturday night. And be like, no, that game, the 53-52 game when he was awesome. And then all the diehard NFL people were like, he doesn't have it. He's barely a starter. Best case scenario, Teddy Bridgewater, maybe Andy Dalton. And it just didn't jibe with what I think the general public saw, right? Am I crazy?
Yeah, I think the public, I think almost feels like it was the public. Was it the media? Was it also the Sanders family? Like, did everybody
the Deion piece
fall into some trap of like, look, I still don't think he should have been a fifth rounder. I don't think he should have gone behind Milroe. I definitely don't think he should have gone behind Dylan Gabriel.
How about the 26-year-old?
He
He went behind that guy, Tyler
Shuck.
Shaw.
Tyler Show, yeah.
So
To the Saints.
yeah, I don't know. Some of the football guys really liked Shuck so much during the pre-draft process. I had Quincy Avery on, who works with all these guys at a really young age. And man, Quincy nailed this, dude. Quincy came on the pod, was like, hey, if his name was Shedeur Williams, he's a sixth rounder. And even I was like,
whoa.
And I've known Quincy a long time and respect the hell out of it. But like, I got done with that pod and I was like, he fucking hates that dude. Like, that's what I was thinking. I don't know that anybody nailed it the way he did. Maybe there was other people I didn't.
Delaney Walker had it pretty good too.
Yeah, he did too. Too. Yeah, right. Titans tight end there. So I guess, you know what I would say, and like sometimes I feel like it should be good news that it may have just been a football evaluation. Like, what if it was just about his football tape? And what if in his job interviews, he just didn't do a very good job? Like, wouldn't that be better news if that's what it was? And then sometimes I just like, I see some of the comps like, oh, Eli Manning. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Arch called his shot and he got away with it. And Eli was this consensus number one fucking pick.
Right. Everybody thought he was good.
There's no one can compare Eli, the prospect, to even if the mock screwed up the Shedeur thing.
And Colin Cowherd, our friend Colin, who had what was the Pittsburgh trade? TJ Watt,
Whoa.
somebody else, and two firsts.
He's got the Ben Simmons LeBron.
Yeah, that was a bad one.
It's okay, LeBron.
It's
okay.
Hey,
Ben Simmons is here.
Be nice to my guy.
I love him. So this is what I'll say. First of all, I'm one of those weird people that talking about this stuff just doesn't make me angry, right? Because even if it's not the thing or if it is the thing, it doesn't hurt us or it's no skin off our neck from just talking about it, right? Like investigating the culture, investigating the things that might be undergirding these topics, whatever. Just don't be so precious about it. Talk about it, whether it is or whether it's not. I think we're probably learning in a real way that the NFL minds just weren't as high on Shedeur Sanders as a football player as the rest of us were. And that's a real thing, right? That can't be denied.
I think that's the one part of this that cannot be debated. It doesn't mean it's the only part of it, but it feels like a pretty significant part of it.
Can I add one piece to that? It doesn't seem like anybody thought he was a definite starting quarterback. Because we know this because the Steelers, who literally don't have a quarterback, were like, yeah, even we don't think he's a quarterback. But it also seems like teams were a little worried that he'd be a good backup, which is the whole point if you're taking a quarterback. You want somebody who can be the backup. He's in the room. Maybe he can play. Maybe he has the upside to be a starter, but he's just going to be able to fit in. And as Russillo said earlier, you don't really want to hear from this guy that much. He's going to be on the bench with the headset, tell him what's play. And obviously teams felt like even that seemed like a tall task for him. Cleveland ends up taking him. They have the weirdest quarterback room, I think, in the history of football. I don't know if you've seen the list. Yeah. It's like, it's just bonkers. But
really, the search is only beginning because now out of him and Dylan Gabriel, one of those guys isn't going to make the team. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those guys might be go to the practice squad. And
I would say Kenny Pickett. Maybe I hope he's renting an apartment. Would be my guess.
Well, they can IR Deshaun so they could carry the fourth one because I think
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah.
And look, I'm not trying to correct you. I'm playing out all the different scenarios
because
you could be right.
Yeah.
Right. But I think there's some creative math there because I think the Deshaun part of it is to try to get the insurance money. Have an IR out for the year, and then that way the policy covers.
Can we talk
all
about the
contracts.
most important story of the weekend, though? The Patriots fucking nailing a draft and getting an A+ on Bleacher Report. We got an A+.
Is this the only time you've ever liked Bleacher Report?
This is the only time I've liked the Patriots draft, I think, this century, where I've just felt we didn't do one thing that made me go, wait, what happened? Why do we? Even Van was like, every time we took an OSU guy, Van was like, I love that guy.
Well,
That's my guy.
Well, first of all, by the way, people think I'm a homer. I'm very honest when it comes to the LSU.
Yeah, I know.
players
That's why
that
when
work
you
and
were
don't
excited about each guy we took, it made me more excited.
The only guy you guys missed on Mason Taylor, he ends up going to the Jets.
I know.
I think he's going to be a Jason Witten type security blanket for a
I
quarterback.
think he was
going
on the
forward.
list. The OSU running back fell to 38, I think. They didn't even interview him. They just took him.
But I am shocked, and I hadn't been following it as much because, once again, I'm a college ball lover. That's another thing about Shedeur. I'll just say this before I get, I watched him get annihilated.
Killed.
Not miss
Tough
games
as can
because
be.
of injuries.
Tough. Right.
Make throws, stand in there, stare defenses down, and just make plays and make throws. And I'm like, that's what you want out of a QB. I've also watched him like 98-yard drive to tie the game, but a 2-minute drill. Just that's what you want in a QB. And I guess I wasn't seeing the ball rotation right or whatever. But Braden Swinson from LSU,
5th round edge rusher. Yeah.
8.5 sacks, a legit hellraiser. You guys get him in the 5th round. I have no idea how Braden Swinson fell to the 5th round.
We got a long
clue.
snapper and a kicker. My dad was like, I talked to him this morning, and usually the first 50 minutes would be like, I don't know what happened in the 2nd round. Why we took that guy there who's coming off the torn ACL or whatever. He was delighted. What was the biggest shock for you, Russillo, in the draft in general? Was there anything that stupefied you?
No, I just want to stay on Swinson here for a second because he or Whit Weeks were the two best players on that defense all year long.
Absolutely.
I mean, Swinson, just consistent
guys.
edge pressure of the edge guys because Whit plays in the middle. Braden, just even as the season went on, it just got better and better and better. So I don't know if it's because he's older. I don't know. He didn't run a 40. We were trying to figure it out the other day when we were doing the live show. He may not, like, normally, hey, I don't want to run a 40, or they couldn't figure out why he hadn't won. I know there's probably some other part of it that I'm missing. But again, 5th round just seemed crazy, but it's also probably the deepest position in the entire draft. I mean, loaded. Right. There's guys going in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
I love this draft kind of like from the beginning of the 2nd round on, of just how many dudes in the 2nd round where I'm like, I love that guy. That's another guy that I love.
There were a ton of running backs, like 3rd, 4th round range.
Right.
It was like really deep in certain spots.
I know. I still don't really care. Like, I know everybody's on this running back thing because Genty goes as high as he did and because Saquon just did what he did for the Eagles. But I think he'd be making a huge mistake now deciding to prioritize all this stuff. So, yes, I agree with my friend Van here. Trevion Henderson, you probably thought was going to be a top 10 pick after his freshman year. After his freshman year, you were like,
after you first, like
you were like, who is this dude? Because Herb Street was putting a little extra on his name in the beginning because he knew the deal of how special he was when he showed up to Columbus. And I speak pretty fluent Herb Street because I've been listening to him for so long, and all the years traveling with those guys as well. And he just was like in awe of him. And then Judkins comes in this year, and I actually felt like even though Judkins had the flash, like Trevion was still the dude in a way, even if the momentum, dumped off that a little bit. But I love Mason Taylor, and I know it sounds like it's just two LSU fans going at it here.
Yeah.
Taylor, they went away from him at LSU because they had NFL wide receivers all over the place. Yeah. And he is not only fast and huge, he's a fucking baller. Okay. Yeah. And when he needed to fight and compete and all that kind of stuff, like I didn't have to question any of that. I think if he had been somewhere that didn't have as much wide receiver talent, he was like their desperate 3rd down option. I don't know that there's ever a version of Mason Taylor lasting to the 2nd round. But the tight end class was loaded. I just kind of wish I wish he was Drake May's target for you because I don't.
I think he was the backup if Henderson wasn't there, to be honest. I think that was. They wanted to get a weapon. Hearing? They weren't going to take a wide receiver. No, I mean, he went like, 4 picks later, 3 picks later?
It was
right in the vicinity.
It was a mutual.
I give Henderson a lot of credit, though. I give Henderson a lot of credit because he when they brought in Quinshon Judkins to split carries with him, I was like, Jesus Christ, what kind of bell cow bellwether back like wants another guy? And Judkins had some injury problems at Ole Miss, and it wasn't quite. But everyone that had watched him in the SEC knew that he could flat out play.
Yeah,
but Henderson handled it really, really well. Never complained.
He's probably psyched he didn't have the extra miles going on him before he went to the NFL. I'd be delighted.
It might have cost him in draft capital, though, right? Because the guy had such an amazing freshman season that if he sticks around a little bit longer and continues to put those numbers up, then, maybe he's a high or mid-first rounder,
We have to wrap up because I want to watch the Celtics game because right now it's 4:43. But I have to ask you guys this. Should I be worried about Belichick and this girlfriend?
I'm not. I'm new. I'm
love
opening my
Belichick.
show. I don't even care. It's the NBA playoffs draft recap. I'm starting my Tuesday show. I've got 15 minutes on this.
Oh, okay.
This is
all right.
unbelievable.
Promo.
No, but go ahead. Give me your thoughts.
Well, I mean, for me, Belichick's like a family member. It's like he's like my uncle. He's just part of the fam. And I feel like this woman is so crazy. Like I just scared for him.
I want to talk about your timeline with Belichick and I'm sorry to interrupt, but after that Apple doc, you've never been closer with Belichick. You've gone on the offensive in defense of him.
It made me mad.
I know. There's a real tone out of you.
I really appreciate him.
Yeah,
listen,
right.
Did he frustrate me during the draft? Sure. Was he a barrel of laughs during the press conferences? Not really.
No.
Did we win 6 Super Bowls? Were we awesome for 20 years? Yeah, I love Belichick, and I'm worried about him.
Okay, give us your worries. Give us your concerns.
Because I'm zagging.
You're Zach. Let me hear the Zach before I give my concerns.
Okay. The things that young woman must be doing to Bill Belichick. You guys are worried about him. I'm happy
curling
for him.
toes.
I'm happy for him. Belichick got rid of it's Bill fucking Belichick. It's Darth Vader in a hoodie. He got ready to answer a question. She said, "No, we're not talking about that."
And she's using "we" with everything.
Bill Belichick stood down, turned around, and looked like this, like a step for Belichick. A step for Belichick. But the stuff she must be doing to Belichick must have his just blowing his mind. He's got to be happy. He's got to be happy.
It reminds me of when Katie Holmes started dating Cruz and we all started getting worried for her when she got Stepford wives by Cruz all of a sudden. It was like, oh no, we got to save Katie Holmes. I just, when that video of her in the high heels walking on the football field.
But that's Belichick is Katie Holmes here.
Belichick's Katie Holmes in this
right. That's important.
That video of her going on the field and ordering people around like she was a party planner at a wedding, and it's like, it's spring scrimmage. Like, what do the people at the school think of this? And did you see that she shut down somebody who's putting Belichick t-shirts and she like shut the account down?
Yeah.
I just, it's not good. We've seen a lot of these over the years, and this one doesn't feel like it ends that well.
How does it end?
Not well.
Break up?
Yeah, like a breakup.
Like they all end.
A tell-all book, and I just
the ones that don't break up, they're just roommates.
I just want him to win some games at UNC. I was looking forward to. I casually root for LSU because I like my friend Van. I was excited to root for UNC. I was actually excited for this college football season. Now I'm worried our guy Belichick is in trouble. Anyway, Van, if
I was a UNC booster, I would be worried after this interview. Like, are we dumping our money
Sunday morning?
into?
Okay.
Yeah, but look, to just one comment on it. Here is Bill, who has never let anybody tell him how it's done.
No.
Ever.
Not even Robert Kraft.
Right. Like, if there's one thing we know about this guy, is like, I'm doing it. Team photo, fuck you. Oh, video game? Nah. Whatever the petty shit I can do. Oh, that's a new petty thing I can do. I'll do that too. Like, just
he would have signed O.J. Simpson in '98.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. That's Patriots way thing because they got rid of one lineman in the late 90s. For a woman who's 24 to tell him, and this wasn't panhandle.
She's 4 years older than my daughter.
Right. How did you meet Connor and Willa online? She's off to the side. Like, you went on fucking CBS. What'd you think this was going to be? Some guy from the Worcester Bugle? Like, you went on to promote your book, and it's CBS. This isn't after another win to go 11-2 on the season, and somebody from the fucking Boston Herald's like, "Hey, what were you thinking with that last time out?" No, just trying to find a way to win the game. Right?
Wait, you say he's 72. I would be worried if this was Russillo in his late 40s, and it was like, did you hear about this girl Russillo's dating? Yeah, she doesn't let him lift
I'll admit,
anymore.
I'm not being too critical of the relationship because there is a scenario, right?
I'm not talking about the ages. I'm talking about the uprooting the life part, where it's with this Belichick, this mystical figure who never seemed like this would ever happen to him, and it's happened.
He was wearing a distressed Navy pullover.
Okay, but that might be that he may have paid for those abrasions.
He was wearing a distressed Navy pullover. Like, I'm telling you, man, this is just the beginning of it. Bill Belichick, TikTok is coming. The whole situation is coming because she is putting it on his motherfucking ass. That's what's happening right there. Be happy for him.
6-time Super Bowl champion Bill Belichick getting it put on his ass. He's going to have a TikTok.
I hope in the
he's
title
gonna be doing like dancing videos where he's dancing with his 6 rings. Like, what is happening? All right. Thanks, guys.
Peace.